Welcome back, Coyotes, to another episode of the Coyote Pawdcast. I am Mr. McDonald. I'm your host, and I'm going to be joined today by a very special guest. We have Mr. Souza in the house.
Good to see you,
Mr. Souza, great to see you. Mr. Souza is joining us today to kind of shed some light on the ins and outs of being athletic director as well as just a teacher on our campus. So, Mr. Souza, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and how long you've been teaching here, etc.
Yeah, this is my 6th year at DMS. Came here right before the COVID year, so 2019-20. And then I started doing the AD job the following year, but COVID hit, so it was kind of a makeshift year. And so if you count that year, this is the 5th year of being the AD.
Okay, nice. 5th year being AD. Just because you're jotting my memory right now of COVID year and stuff like that, you did start AD during a very weird time.
Yes.
So there's obviously no sports being played in COVID. So what did the AD job really entail that first year during COVID?
Jeez. Emailing. They did try to get track going because it was in the springtime when we came back. We had
That's
some
right.
pods
That year
happening.
when we had the cohorts going.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had a small group in my class. Mr. Rodriguez and I teamed up in the wintertime, and then they gave us kids back full go at the very end of 6 weeks. And then they were trying to get track, but only a few schools were doing it because it was a lot of hurdles to jump and testing and all that.
Hurdles, topical.
Yeah, there you go. You got that one. But it was gonna be too much to have happen. So next year though, we were full go with all the masks and all that.
Gotcha. So nice little soft opening into becoming.
Yeah,
an AD.
gradually. Emails only first.
There you go.
And in person for the next 4 years after that.
Perfect. Baby steps.
Yeah.
So becoming a teacher, everyone's curious. I have students ask questions all the time, and they want to know what made you want to become a teacher.
Jeez, probably mama. I graduated from Long Beach, and after I graduated with a comm degree, which is this right here, I guess, I was like, what do I do? And my mom was a teacher for 32 years. She just retired or was about to retire, and she was like, try teaching. It was really that simple of a conversation. So I went back and got a credential. I was down south still, and got it then, and started subbing and did some PE on the side for elementary school. Then I did intervention for a while, and I think this is my 11th year now in the teaching field, but I didn't get my own classroom until 2018.
Okay, and that was down south?
That was at Waterford, actually.
Okay, so your first classroom was in Waterford.
I was subbing in intervention stuff from 2013 to 2018 school year, and then in the beginning of 18, fall, I came back for the job. So I've been back in the Valley area for the past 7 years now.
Okay, right on. And your mom was a teacher. I don't know if you mentioned, right? How long did she teach?
She was at 35 years. She was at Piven for a while. She was at Dutcher when it was a K through 8. She was at Jolene before that. Mm-hmm. And I think she was at the county for a couple of years too, she said. So she's bounced around mostly in this area too.
Gotcha. Nice. I think it's funny how a lot of teachers have family members or people that they know who are also teachers. Yeah. It's kind of one of those professions that run in the family. I think if I look at my family and the family that I'm married into, it's everybody is either a nurse or a teacher. It's a great job, honestly. Can't beat the schedule, obviously, but we have an opportunity to work with kids and stuff. So it's always, so it's cool that your family kind of influenced you into becoming a teacher. Yeah, definitely. Now, what made you want to become a teacher? What made you want to take on the athletic director role? Started off as,
who else is going to do it at that point? And so the principal for Mrs. Sarmiento, she was like, hey, we need someone. You like sports? And I think I even recommended you first. And he's already busy. Okay. And so we did that, and it kind of just took off from there. It's fun being around basketball all the time, and I was going to coach anyway, so it kind of already was going to be here after school. And then started learning the volleyball system, and then learning the track system, and then we started doing softball out there after for a while. So it was just do your part, help out the school, because other people like you were doing stuff for leadership, and that's a big thing with dances and all that. Yeah. And so it was like, do your job, Gavin, or Mr. Souza, I guess, for these ones, and contribute more.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing ever since now. So.
Yeah, just looking for a way to contribute to the school, for
absolutely.
Sure. Somebody had to do it,
Someone, I don't think Mr. Rodriguez wanted to do it. I think Mr. Potter at the time, he was here, he was an aide for us at the time, and he was busy, so it's just someone needed to do it, so.
Yeah, well, you mentioned like you had a background in sports,
Yeah.
you know. So growing up, let's talk about like middle school,
Yeah.
Mr. Souza. You've been around sports your whole life. So what kind of role did sports play in your life as a middle school student? Did you play sports in middle school for your middle school? How often were you out running around playing different sports and getting involved? And are there any coaches or things that coaches that maybe made an impact on you that maybe drove you to wanting to be a part of sports and be a coach and so forth?
Yeah, parents was more of mom's role, dad's too. You got to be doing something at all times. Can't be at home doing nothing.
Gotcha.
So even at a young age, dad was working, mom was a teacher, and she wanted me after school hanging out with her all the time. So we're always doing water polo. We did baseball. We did soccer. We did tap dance. It came to that. That
Dude,
was not my
get
choice.
out of
That
here.
was not my choice.
Can you tap dance right now? Like
It brings back trauma, so we don't do that. I was told it would help the footwork, but I did that for a couple of years when I was in elementary school. And then at middle school age, did soccer. I was at Dutcher. It was K-8 at that time. And did basketball, and then we do travel ball on the side there. And then we do Livingston had a league.
Yep,
City.
I played in that one.
My little brother was on the team with us. He's 2 years behind me. So that was kind of the big thing. And for coaching, middle school coaches at that time, not the most. But the coaches that I relate to the most, the ones that would be kind of like not soft, like the ones that were like, let's win the right way.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't really have so much a basketball background, but they knew how to motivate kids. And
right.
You would want to play harder for those ones, even ones who had more experience possibly coaching the game, but they couldn't reach you like some other ones could. So I always liked the coaches that you knew you knew they had your back, and then so you want to do more for them.
Okay.
So that kind of got
nice.
me thinking, okay, as I got older, I kind of go back like who motivated you, and that's kind of how I took off with that.
Really cool. Really cool. Yeah. I have similar experiences. Obviously, we were constantly doing sports. I was doing, it seemed like I was always in something, whether it be Little League, school basketball, travel ball, football, etc. And sports are a great outlet and avenue for, developing character.
That's where you grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friends are there, your family's there.
There's a lot of good life lessons to be had in sports and stuff like that. And I think for me, because I've also coached, that was like what motivated me to want to become a coach as well and get back to into sports for kids is like there's so many life lessons that can be had, and I think it's really valuable to be on the other side of that and see the kids kind of like see that moment where it clicks, whether it's on the court or off the court, So really rewarding part of the job, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, you've done it for 12, 13?
Yeah.
More than I have.
I coached at the high school for 9 years, and then 9 years at the high school. And then I've been coaching at the middle school for 2 years. So I think I have 11 years under my belt, just basketball. But yeah, I mean, a lot of my favorite memories as an adult are looking back as a coach. And like kids obviously have those memories when you guys are playing sports and you're a part of a winning team, or even just like the hijinks that you get into with your buddies and stuff like on the bus and et cetera. Like those are memories, but like as a coach, you have a different perspective on it, and you get to see those kids having fun.
Yeah.
And like secondhand fun, you just can't help but smile and like make memories with those kids as well.
Yeah.
It helps. We had a very successful high school team led by Mr. Henderson was our head coach, but brought a section title to Denair for the first time in 20 years. Really, really fun to be a part of that. So memories that I'll have forever, having my son down on the court at the Golden Ones Center. Winning a section title, and taking a picture. Those are memories that I'll have forever.
Rare, man.
And they revolve around sports. So sports is such a huge part of middle schoolers' lives for sure, and getting onto the high school level for sure. So I think taking on the athletic director role would definitely be rewarding in the sense that you're providing those moments for kids.
You get to watch them grow up those 3 years when they're here, and then go to high school, see them do more things there. So it's kind of nice to be a small chapter in their life, and you can see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So as we're on the subject of talking about middle school, Mr. Souza, we know that you were an athlete. We know that you were involved in a lot of sports. But our students would like to know, and I think I'm curious as well, because I didn't really know you very well in middle school. Obviously, Mr. Souza and I have a history. Our dads own a business together, so I've known Mr. Souza a lot of my life.
Together.
Yeah, we've worked together at the company. But I didn't really know you well in middle school, so like you went to a different school than I. What was Mr. Souza like as a middle school student? Not just an athlete, but as a student. What kind of student were you?
So we'll count 6th grade as middle school because
Yeah.
back then Dutcher was 7th and 8th grade. So
Oh, that's
6th
right.
grade year was not good. I was definitely a little shyer and kind of caused some problems a little bit. Got caught cheating in 6th grade on a math test one time. My mom was a teacher and got grounded for a whole year. And the person.
A whole year?
Sorry, a month. A month. No, it felt like a year.
sheesh.
Sorry, it felt like a year. It was a month. And the girl tattled on me. And my mom had a rule that you had to maintain a 3.0 to have privileges, like the games and all that, and friends, and having like friends come over and stay the night and stuff. And I was flirting with like a C in math, and I got tired of it being on the line, and so I cheated on the girl to my right, and she must have saw me because the next day I was getting questioned. I'm like, 92%, Mr. Souza. What's going on here? And I came back the next day, and I got called back to the class, and the girl was to my right. And she would make eye contact. She was like looking down, and then Mrs. Pond was his teacher, and she's like, the girl's name, she's like, you want to tell me what you just told me? And she was like, I saw you cheating off my test yesterday. And I was like, great. And so, is this true? I was like, yeah, it's true. And so I got caught there, got grounded for a long time on that one. Wasn't always like how, like now I'm like just everything, you're always watching, making sure the kids are behaving. But
Yeah.
I've been there, kids. I know how it goes sometimes. But yeah, that was a bad one.
Okay. So other than the one instance of getting caught, you like label yourself as being a pretty good student.
Yeah.
Grades, you had pretty good grades.
3.0 students.
Okay.
B average, and I always wanted friends over, like, my brother was definitely the 4.0 student.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanted to get my parents off my case, or what's good enough to not draw attention.
Yeah.
So 3.0, and then just hang out with friends. It was a rule follow, never backtalk teachers. Was
Yeah.
always respectful about that. Didn't want to have Mr. Souza coming down on me about that one. But making sure the behavior was always there was always a big thing with my parents and how we did things. So it didn't really cause too many problems. Besides that one incident, which was self-harm to me. It wasn't because I was mistreating a kid, but
Yeah.
there was just that one moment.
I get it. I mean, I think it's important to ask these questions just because, part of the podcast is we are trying to make this a podcast where we can kind of break down the walls between teachers and students, and we can see each other for, as a whole person and not just the student, not just the teacher, right? And I think talking about like how we used to be as students at their age, I think a lot of our students forget, like, oh yeah, we were their age at one point, you know? It wasn't that long ago, right? At least I don't feel like it. The kids will remind me that it was that long ago. But yeah, like I think that's really cool for kids to see. Like, yeah, you make mistakes too as a student before, and it's okay. You learn from it. Look at you. You turned out just fine. You know, I've made my share of mistakes. I got a story. I was not the perfect student. I'll admit it.
Over the grades.
I did fine in grades. It was a 3.0 to 3.5. You know, I got by. My sister, just like you mentioned, your brother was the 4.0. My sister was the 4.0. Yep, she was the valedictorian or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think she might have been salutatorian.
Still pretty
That's
good.
neither here nor there.
This
This is not about her. This is about
us.
me for once. No, but like, yeah, so I had that going on, but I was also very social. I had a lot of friends, and my friends didn't always make the best choices. I was always respectful to teachers for the most part, and I got in some trouble here and there, but, you know, nothing like really too serious or anything. But like, I know for a fact now, being on the other side of it as a teacher, like, I wouldn't have been the perfect student to have in my class. I understand that, so I can kind of relate to kids who maybe are have trouble like not acting out or sometimes. But one story that comes to mind, and I wasn't even in middle school, I was in 5th grade. We had, do you remember DARE? DARE officers,
yes.
say no to drugs,
Yes, yep.
right? So we
The Red Ribbon Week
for
thing?
those of you guys who don't know, because all you students, I'm sure you do have no idea what I'm talking about. We used to have like police officers come in, and it was part of a DARE program. I cannot remember what the acronym stands for, but anyway, they would come into the classroom and they would talk to us, you know, the importance about saying no to drugs and alcohol, and understandable. But this DARE officer came into our 5th grade classroom, and he was giving the speech, and our teacher left the room for something, I don't know. And the DARE officer finished early, and the DARE officer left the room. So here you have a room full of 11-year-olds without any supervision, and we just turned into complete, utter psychopaths. I mean, we had kids like on top of desks. Kids were like throwing stuff across the room, and I wasn't doing any of that. But me and a buddy of mine, our teacher had a jar stash of Tootsie Rolls. Dude, I was a big Tootsie Roll guy, man. So I worked hard to get Tootsie Rolls. And him and I both looked at each other like, Tootsie Rolls, unattended. What do we do? So we both grabbed a couple Tootsie Rolls, ate it and put them in the backpack, whatever. I remember getting home that night, and it had gotten out that we were unattended and that we were, acting up. And I remember my mom coming into my room saying, I heard some people were stealing things, acting up. Did you happen to steal anything, any candy or anything? And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, no, I didn't do that. And that was, one of the first times I really, flat out lied to my parents, And I remember going to bed. She believed me, bless her soul. And we went to bed, and then the next morning, or actually, I didn't even get to go to sleep. I couldn't live with the guilt, and I called her into my room. I was like, I did. I stole some Tootsie Rolls. I'm so sorry. I had to tell her. And the next morning, I'll never forget, my mom practically dragging me by my ear to my teacher's classroom to make me apologize and confess.
Oh, man.
And here comes my buddy with his mom doing the exact same thing. So we both looked at each other like, oh, you got caught too, man. And we both had to apologize to the teacher and stuff like that. And I just always remember that being a funny story. One of the only times that I really got in trouble at school, really. But yeah, so it's important for kids to know, everyone goes through it. You guys are at an age where you're wanting to impress your peers, and you're less likely to impress adults, and that becomes more of your attention, is impressing your peers and doing silly things. And we get it. We were there, but knock it off,
Now you're a leadership teacher at Denair,
yeah, see?
It's
fine. Now I'm teaching kids how not to be like me. Right,
Learn
absolutely. Okay, so we're talking about us as middle schoolers. Now, on the academic side of things, what was your favorite subject in school?
That was fun, but I wouldn't say probably the favorite would probably be PE. Heavy PE.
PE?
PE class. I mean, that's
right on.
Probably, it's sports, friends, outdoors. That's always probably been the favorite growing up.
Understandable. I mean, U.S. history, which you are now teaching history, makes sense. PE, you are now teaching PE, makes sense. Actually, when I look back to my middle school experience, or even high school, or just as a student in general, I always really liked science. Science always really interested me. I don't know, just answering the curiosity of how things work. I thought that was really interesting. Now, if you had to teach a different subject other than PE or history, what subject do you think you would teach?
Did STEM STEM was cool. That was a new thing.
That's right.
Did STEM for a little bit, for 4 years at STEM. But I would say on the core subjects, maybe math.
Really?
Math was cool to a certain point. I mean, geography was, that was tough one. Oh, geography.
Geometry?
Geometry, yeah.
It's geography. That's
There's
about
a G in there
rocks
somewhere,
and maps.
This all kinds of words that I'm saying the wrong things on. But geometry, that's probably where it gets a little trickier for me. But Algebra 1, Algebra 2 were fun things to do, like fractions, adding fractions, and do all that. So I'd say math.
Okay.
That'd be my next choice after PE and history would be math.
Nice. Yeah, I've been asked this question too, and if I were to choose a different subject, I think it changes all the time. When I first started teaching, I did teach math intervention for a little while, and I would have never thought that I would be teaching math. Math was one of my worst subjects.
I did that when I first got here.
Yes, I was teaching math intervention, but when I was teaching it, I was like, oh, it is kind of cool because there is a concrete answer. There's nothing to be interpreted. No, that's the correct answer. It's like a puzzle. You got to solve it to get to the answer. So I kind of like that. But at the same time, I didn't enjoy teaching it as much. And shout out to our math teachers. You guys are doing God's work out there, because it is really hard to teach math because kids don't want to learn math. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's hard to teach a subject where kids are not super excited to learn.
Engaged,
But now, even if I were to teach a different subject, I don't even know if it would be science. As I've gotten into teaching leadership, we do a lot of stuff where we read, motivational books, and
cool
we analyze poetry, and we do things like that. And I'm like, man, ELA would be kind of sweet. I don't know if I'd be fond of grading all the essays and stuff like that, but at the same time, that is something that I could get behind, reading literature and talking with other students about their interpretations of the literature and stuff like that. I think that would be interesting. What do you think is the hardest part about being a teacher?
Oh man, I would say getting kids to behave a certain way and being consistent and keep following through with it so the kids know to stay that way with you. I'm sure every teacher's got different patient levels and everything. Mine's pretty quick. You're more patient than me. But I would say getting kids to behave a certain way where it's respectful all the time in classroom. I like the nice, quiet, calm class when I'm going over things. And that takes time. In the beginning, I remember my first year subbing, my first sub class. I was in an 8th grade leadership class. And I was down south in Long Beach. And a kid walked in, and they see a sub, it's the target.
Of course.
They're like, oh yeah, this guy's ours. And usually my height plays a factor where kids don't try to do stuff. But this kid walked in, he sat down by my feet, just went there and started laughing and sat by my feet. And I had no idea how to manage that. I've never
This
seen
is 8th grade?
It's an 8th grade boy.
Interesting.
Sat down, and then he starts laughing, and then they would ask, like, hey, can we play music? And I was like, oh, like, the first question, this is like the test they do to you when you're new, and they can feel it on you. And they said, I was like, well, does your teacher let you do that? And
of course,
they know, like, you don't really have control yet. They know that you're trying to follow the leader.
Right.
I was like, well, if they say that's okay, and then right there it was done. And just getting them back under control, you have to get walked over a few times to learn how to do this properly. And so now, if a kid did that, I mean, you look down, and it's going to be this glare. But I remember that was the hardest part was classroom management.
Yeah.
Getting that locked in, and it took a couple years. And subbing is harder than being a teacher, because subbing, the kids don't know you yet, unless you're coming back like all the time. But first year at a new school with 8th graders that can tell you you're new, it's a tough
Smell
one.
blood in the water.
They do, and they'll come at you and make it interesting.
I think that's so true, though, and you kind of alluded to it, is your reputation does a lot of your classroom management for you.
It does.
So, like, as you've been teaching for a long time, and we have some new teachers and stuff like that, and hopefully this is, helpful tips for you guys. Like, it gets better. I remember my first couple of years, it was rough, man. The kids didn't know me. They're trying to get a feel for me. They're trying to figure me out. I'm trying to figure them out, trying to get to know each other. If you don't have those relationships, it's really hard to reach kids. And but once you've been there, you have consistency, and they've seen your face, and they hear other people talk about you that have been in your class. Your reputation does a lot of the work for you.
Yeah.
Like, I have a unique perspective on it, just because in PE, I never really had a classroom. So, like, classroom management for me was always easier just because I was a coach. I was a coach before I was a teacher. And PE, we're in a setting for athletics. I was like, I'm just going to bark at you like a coach, And so that was always easy. But when I was studying the math intervention, I was like, oh, this is another animal, getting kids to behave and actually engage in the lessons and stuff like that. So I could totally see how that would be a hard part of the job. So we talked about the hardest part of you being a teacher. Now, what about is the hardest part about being an AD?
Collecting physicals, insurance cards, and player agreements. Those are always a pain, because every kid's got 3 pieces of paper they have to have before they can play, and they don't bring them in at the same time. That one's kind of the most annoying one. The hardest part is like confrontational situations with parents who are acting up, or a student acting up during the games.
Right. You got to lay down the law in that sense.
Yeah, you got to go out there and like escorting parents out of the gym. It's happened 3 times since I've been here. It happened a couple of months ago when I was coaching. I had to be coaching and also go escort a parent out from the other school. Never one of our parents, so that's always good. It's always been the away team.
Yeah, shout out to our Denair parents.
Thanks,
you guys
parents, for behaving.
are class acts.
For the most part, we like that a lot.
It's true, though. I'm not even saying that sarcastically. Our parents and our fans, I have been told by other schools, I see it obviously firsthand, they conduct themselves really well in sometimes controversial settings, because it can get chippy out on the court, and the other parents are often like getting into it and getting rowdy, and our parents are always really well mannered, I would say. So kudos to you guys. What is the most impressive thing that you have seen from an athlete being an AD or a coach, or even from a student? What do you think?
One that came to mind, a couple came to mind. Well, I think it was this year or last year. These are mostly from this AD side of things, and it's hard to pick a couple of them, but I'm gonna go with these. It was Kylie Udy. It was I think it was this year. She might remember this. Last year or this year, we're playing, I think, Hickman. I'm keeping score, and Kylie's known for being a good volleyball player. She's been playing. She plays travel ball. People know about her. Some of the boys are terrified of her because she's ball pretty hard.
I get scared during staff games.
I know. We gotta be careful. Yeah, I know. We gotta watch out for Kylie. And she got set up for a spike, and she got blocked. And I've never seen a middle school block anyone, boys or girls. And most players would get angry, shut down, react completely how she did not act. Because their team is a huge point in the game. It was like third game, and their place erupted on their side. The girls were all pumped. It was against Hickman, I think. And Kylie smiled at it, clapped for her, not sarcastically, like very classy, and walked over and gave the girl a handshake underneath the net, which I was blown away, because I've never seen a kid handle themselves like that. And she wasn't shook by it. She came back, and then like 2 plays later, she gets a block on someone.
Yeah, there you go.
And it went like full circle on just like the karma thing about how she handled that as like an athlete, and just who she is.
Yeah, just sportsmanship, right?
Yeah,
like, hey, respect, good block.
It was just like, and I think it showed her confidence in herself. Like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Like, say, like boys are so scared to get blocked in basketball. Like, if you can get blocked, you can shake it off and hit a jump shot after that, and not get taken back by that. But that's from like the sports side. I think just as like again, there's so many kids you can pick here, but one you mentioned before is probably Galli Padilla. Just how she treats people, and she's been through some things in her life that could make her anything but sweet and kind, and kind of you would never know because she's treats everyone with a smile, respect. Her dad makes some great salsa, by the way, that she's hooked up with. So she's proud of me for that salsa. But she's always been just how she treats every staff member, custodian, cafeteria teachers, people she's even knows, strangers. It's always with class, respect, and a smile. Yeah. And that's what makes this job fun to be around because you meet kids like that. And there's not just Galli. There's a lot of kids out there. Yeah. Galli's an 8th grader now, so been around for 3 years, and just how she is a pretty impressive thing from a standpoint of who she is as a person, and Galli makes the world a better place. Yeah. So those are the kind of people you like to see around here, and it's infectious because other kids want to be around her, and then they want to be good too, and then it goes a circle like that. Yeah. Awesome. But I can't dogpile on just the girls. I got some boys too. I'd say from the boys, these are both from this year's basketball team. Jasper Hawes and Tristan Reynolds, both those boys. These are boys who maybe didn't get as much playing time as some of the other boys out there, like Malik out there and Huxley, those guys. But those boys will give you their heart and soul. Never once are they complaining about something, about playing time. They never complain about a foul call. You're running sprints in practice nonstop. They just do it, and they do it with the most classy manner of all time. And they communicate when they got to be somewhere. They follow the directions I do, and they do all that when they probably could have played some more minutes in some of these games. And it was always with respect every single time. So as a coach, sometimes not even having guys that put up like 15, 20 points that impact you, it's who these kids are and how those two always handle them. And again, it's a good group of boys on both those teams, 7th and 8th grade. But I'm around the 8th grade more, and those two boys always handle things with class, and especially when we did free throw stuff. And Jasper Hawes is a clutch free throw shooter, and the boys will tell you he definitely saved some running lines by his clutch free throw shooting. And so, and all the boys care about these guys too. And so those are two ones that how they handle themselves and just came to play because they love being around basketball. It makes you want to do more for those kind of kids too.
Awesome, very cool. So we kind of already talked about some. We always like to finish our episodes, and we are coming down to the end here with some shout outs. So we like to do one student and one staff member shout out. And since you're kind of already on the topic of shouting out some students, I've asked you ahead of time, do you have a student and a staff member that we would like to shout out?
Yeah, I'll do a group because it's hard to pick one.
Perfect.
But my AAC club, the Athletic Sports Club, all those, there's 18 of them. They know who they are. Lena's out there, and Malachi, and Dylan. There's a whole bunch. You guys know who you are. They help run the school when it comes to sports. Without them, this is going to be chaos. You probably don't even have a snack bar, to be honest with them, because they run all that. They stay after school. They give up their free time. Some of them don't even play for the school on certain seasons, and they're staying here until 6 o'clock. The volleyball tournament we host here is here till like 9 o'clock at night, 3 straight nights. And I got kids that stay there because they care. They care about being here. They care about their friends, and they care about their teachers because, like, I'm just asking nicely. They don't have to do it.
Right.
And
they're not getting paid for this.
No, they don't get paid. They get, like, some snacks out of this, and they get a handshake from me, and I always have my respect for that. So the AAC Club, very, very helpful for those, very thankful for those kids. And then for staff, probably have to get – the kids always see me around, and probably Mr. David Rodriguez. He's always been a good person to have on your side, and he does a lot for the school, a lot for the kids. He's got good discipline skills. I like that about him, respect that. He's always been someone to look up to and cares about the kids. He will go the extra mile. He runs the outdoor ed program. He's trying to get back into coaching. That's the rumor on the street. He's got some kids still in high school trying to graduate, so those come first. But I'd say Mr. Rodriguez gets my shout out.
Very nice. Very nice.
What about you?
Let's see.
You two.
I asked you to prepare a student or staff member. That I'm sitting here afterwards, and I'm like, oh, I didn't prepare a student or
This is
staff
your
member.
ball here,
But
man.
that's okay, because I have so many to choose from. And like I mentioned with the girls in a prior episode, like I have the luxury where I get to do this every single time. So hopefully I can get to a lot of different people. Let's start with staff. I'm going to shout out, we were talking just about how hard it is teaching math, right? And I think I'm going to do a double shout out. I'm going to shout out both Ms. Lagos and Ms. Snaiteki. So Ms. Lagos, for instance, she's been around Denair Middle School for a while. She's the same year as you, right? I think I was just 1 year ahead of her. And talk about somebody who just really gives back to the school. She's always signing up to do, chaperone at our dances and stuff like that. She's a vet. She helps me. She's like, Mr. McGowan, by the bathroom? So like, yeah. She's like, all right, I got you. So I really appreciate that, obviously being the activities director is somebody who gets involved, and she just helped me out this week with our teaching of our digital lessons. She took my 8th graders, I took their 7th graders, and
team player.
Yes, 100% a team player. Ms. Lagos is, so I really appreciate her for that. And then Ms. Snaiteki, she came in as a new teacher, and that's always hard coming in as a new teacher, especially teaching math. It's not it's a subject where students are not really thrilled to be there always.
No.
And what I really love about Ms. Snaiteki is just how she just dove into our culture here. She happens to be in House Amethyst, represent. And she's sent me emails before, showing appreciation for the events that we plan and stuff like that, and that's always appreciated. It's always nice to know that it's noticed out there by other staff members. And she's talked about getting together for some kind of house meeting and stuff like that. So I just love to see new teachers just dive into the culture like she has. So I think she's a huge asset and a really good addition to the middle school. So shout out Ms. Snaiteki as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
For our students, let's see.
Yeah, everyone's out there.
Gosh, there's so many.
One.
There's so many.
It's hard to pick one. Go two. Pick two. Go
Let's
two.
see.
Spread out a little bit. Little boy and a girl.
Okay. I'm gonna shout out Ethan Rush.
Yes.
So Ethan Rush is, he's not in my leadership class, but he very well could be. This kid is
ASC kid, by the way.
Oh, there you go, man. I mean, he is always respectful, really articulate. He speaks to adults well. I appreciate him. And just fun fact. Ethan Rush and I are undefeated playing pickleball, so he's my partner.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. I ditched you for Ethan Rush, dude.
Traitor.
So,
Ethan, I remember this.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the kid. I think he's a great kid, and so shout out Ethan. And then let's see. You know what? I'm going to shout out Lola Cortez. So Lola Cortez is in my 6th grade leadership class, and Lola always engages in our lessons that we're doing. And a lot of times our lessons are heavy hitting. We're talking about empathy and kindness and just overall being a good person. And the emotional intelligence on this kid is shocking.
I'm not surprised by this.
She has the most articulate responses. A lot of times I will build on a student's response. And a lot of times I find myself sitting there and be like, well, Lola summed that up pretty well. I don't even really need to add anything to that. So,
come to class, Lola. That's you.
I think she's just a really heartfelt person, and she cares about her friends a lot, and it's known and it's appreciated. So, thank you, Lola, and shout out to you.
Yeah.
We could stay here all day and talk about kids that we're proud of and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we only have so much time. So, and that is going to do it for us today in this episode. Hopefully, we shined a light on a little bit more of what athletic director entails, as well as, just a teacher's perspective on the job. And, hopefully kids can see that there's a lot more to it than just coming up here and reading off lesson plans and stuff like that. So, super excited to continue this podcast. As always, we want to hear from you guys, so if you have anything that you want to hear, questions that you want to ask, please drop comments below. We'll try to get to them and hopefully read some of them off on air. We want this to be as interactive as possible, so please continue to tune in, continue to give us ideas for new episodes, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. All right? Peace. That's all we got. Thanks, guys.